Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 2 of the anime series, Plastic Memories. And this was an interesting episode, not quite as good for me personally as the first episode. There weren't as many feels, and while it did make me laugh a few times, it was kind of like, it almost felt incomplete, like we didn't get as well-rounded an episode as the previous. And there were certain aspects of it that, pretty much conformed to my speculations as far as Ida and her lifespan. We're basically being told, just to jump right into it, by the end of this episode, she has 2,000 hours remaining to her. And that basically roughly translates to about 83 days and like 8 hours, something to that effect. And that was pretty much a large suspicion I had that would become sort of an integral aspect of the story arc for the series, and especially with Tsukasa now being paired up with her, and you basically have Kazuki. She's kind of trying to put her arm around Tsukasa and make him aware of the situation. Of course, doing it in all the wrong ways, bringing him out to a bar. He's a minor. She's getting completely drunk and everything. And we also have other characters that are debuted in this particular episode from sort of the people overseeing the training that Ida is now putting herself through, as well as the sort of lazy guy in the office. And it's just interesting to me that, in this episode, we're sort of focusing more on those characters than the actual, going in and repossessing, if you will, with the terminal service, the Giftias. I mean, that is an aspect of this episode. We only see one in particular that both Ida and Tsukasa are going to try to reclaim, and it's this sort of young boy-looking one called Max. He's working in a mechanic outfit, and when they first go, Ida is very much shaken up, and she's kind of like, I don't know, nerve-wracked, but she's also coming across as really freaky and scary, to the point where the old man that they're trying to contract back, this Giftia Max, they both take off running, and they get all the mechanics upset because, basically Ida went to run after them, and she trips and she slams into a wall and damages some stuff, and you basically have Mishiru, and Zack coming to sort of follow up and apologize, trying to keep, the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and trying to make sure they don't get sued or something, however that would work in this futuristic environment. And, that's largely the sort of focus on this episode, is the fact that Ida is very much out of her element. Basically Tsukasa surmises she's just been, out of the field for so long. She's got to kind of find her sea legs again and get used to the job again. But we're basically having handed to us the fact that her time is limited. She's only got so many days, and that's very much what, as I say, it was part of my speculation that maybe this was one of the sort of tantamount factors in why she is so poorly on the job, and why she is so nerve-wracked, and she keeps, uttering like error and stuff when she can't quite understand the situation. She's not sure why she's feeling a certain way or doing things a certain way. And basically Tsukasa is told that, her training and trying to, hunker down and make all of her capabilities that much tighter and more effective is pretty much just a lost cause, because they can only sort of grow and evolve so much, being that they are an artificial life form. You also have Mishiru sort of pulling off Tsukasa, she and Zack, and discussing the aspect that you treat these Giftias as they are human beings. They have souls, much as the human beings who are contracted to own, if you will, air quotes, a Giftia. And you have to take that into account. When you're going to reclaim, you have to go in on a human level. You have to sort of, level playing field the emotions and take into consideration the emotions that the person is likely feeling. Whether there is that level of, communion familial-wise, or as I said in the previous video, lover-wise, or however they're interconnected. These people bond with their Giftias and vice versa. These Giftias have a level of AI that, kind of like the Ghost in the Shell thing, it blinds that border of, are these sentient machines, or do they actually possess a soul? And those aspects are quite fascinating in how I'm trying to perceive it's going to play out in this series. I think the biggest aspect, as hinted by this episode, is that, you know, we have to be very much critically aware that Ida is not long for the wind, and how is this going to play out on the emotions of her co-workers, Tsukasa and Kazuki especially, you know? And that aspect of it is quite fascinating to me. That's going to keep me watching for now, at least. But I just feel like the emphasis on that was a little bit too sparse in this episode because of the comedic aspects and just trying to get some newer characters put into the story. And so while, you know, this episode wasn't quite as impressive as the previous, it did slightly fall flat for me a little bit, I'm still intrigued and I'm still enjoying the characters and what the potential of the story there is going to keep me, you know, going into the next episode. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 2 of Plastic Memories, if it's still living up to that sort of high quality that the first episode did, with the feels and the drama and the comedy. I felt like everything was much better. You know, it was a much better mixture on screen from beginning to end of the episode. And this one just kind of felt like, you know, I mean, we have the entire sequence of them going back to get this Giftia Max during the end credits. I mean, this should have been a part of the episode, you know. They could have still played the music over it and everything, but it shouldn't have been relegated to like a side feature of the episode. It should have actually been before the end credits. And maybe some training montage of Ida's could have been more befitting for that end credit music. And, you know, that's just kind of how this episode impacted me. I'm going to be checking out episode 3 and seeing if I still want to stick with it or if it falls flat for me. Remains to be seen, but yeah, anything goes in the comments below as long as it's not spoilery and, you know, pertaining to the source material. I'd love to hear your speculations and how this episode impacted you, whether it did or not. So otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.